Hello, and welcome to the LAAGCast. We are the League of Above Average Gamers, and I'm your host. One of them, Sam Richards. With me are my co-hosts, Max.
Yo.
And Will.
Hey there.
It is the week of May 24th, 2018, and the stupid thing of this week is the Thundercats remake.
Thundercats Roar. Yeah, it's actually a disaster. It looks terrible.
And this is being made by which company on which channel?
Cartoon Network. It's Cartoon Network.
It's Cartoon Network.
Because Cartoon Network has lots of this Cal Art style, as they say.
Yes. So, and that would be
Bean
the
faces.
same style that's being used on, say, the new Teen Titans show?
Well, Teen Titans was more of just like a simplification, dumbing down.
Yeah, it was like a chibi anime.
The best example is that there's a show called Steven Universe, and it is 100% Thundercats. Like, the art is the same between the two shows.
Yeah, I've seen Steven Universe.
Doesn't it have a Rick and Morty crossover?
I believe it does.
Yeah.
And similar stuff goes on, but it's obviously geared towards a younger audience.
Yeah.
But I've also heard good things about it, though not wanting to watch it.
There's an older following for Steven Universe, much in the same way you have like the Adventure Time following, which is another show that people like to bring up as having that kind of Cal Art style, even though it's not quite the same.
Right, but the difference is, for Adventure Time and Steven Universe, those were both constructed like wholly to be that style from the beginning.
Yes.
And Thundercats has a legacy of being, more in the He-Man vein,
Right.
classic Voltron, where it was realistic proportions and deep, serious stories. And I mean, I know that all of the attention is focused on the art style for this, but I think the other part of the outrage is that it's now going to be some sort of weird, lighthearted comedy.
Yeah,
which
it's so
doesn't
silly.
match. Yeah.
Yeah, not that action, the excitement you feel when he does the thing with his sword and he looks his eyes through it and it pans in on his face and it's just real good back then.
Yeah. The original still looks good today, while this new one is not going to age past 2 years.
Just the fact that, at the end of the little clip they put up, it shows I don't know if it's going to be the opening theme for the show or if it's just for the trailer.
Yeah.
But at the end of the trailer, it sounds like the Chipmunks are singing Thundercats Roar. And, anyway, let's...
Roar.
I know, right? It sounds like Thundercats squeak.
Oh man, yeah, no, that's a disaster.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
Lionel calls it my object of cutting or whatever, his sword, my bar of slicing. It's so stupid. It's not clever.
I know I've gotten older, but I think Cartoon Network has also just gotten worse.
Yes, by far.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
So what's
anyway.
another news?
Yeah, some news.
Well,
how about Dark Souls?
To everybody's maybe surprise, because this actually happens with every Souls release, FromSoft or Steam released the Dark Souls Remastered early to their platform for download yesterday, the 23rd of May. And the experience was pretty awful for most people, I'm led to believe, because, this isn't a huge upgrade. If you were playing Dark Souls on the PC with the established mods that the community put out, the really easy ones to use, like DS Fix and the PvP Watchdog, you were already playing at a high frame rate. You were already playing at a higher resolution than on consoles, and it was a very nice experience. And really the only reason why anybody is buying Dark Souls Remastered is because the multiplayer element is going to be stronger. There's going to be more people playing, so we can finally get all the great PvP and PvE multiplayer action in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happened is that notorious Souls hacker, who goes by Malcolm Reynolds, decided to immediately, as soon as the game was released, start going online and using various hacks and exploits to repeatedly invade worlds and afflict people with situations that at best would have their characters be cursed and egg-headed at the very beginning of the game, which by itself just makes it garbage to play.
Right.
But also could result in soft banning from the players, because he'll do things like give you more souls than you can possibly achieve, and so the anti-cheat system picks up that you're cheating and it bans you. And he's on he's streaming this live on YouTube and talking about how this is a service he's doing to people. He's keeping them from playing a crappy game because he disagrees with FromSoft's business practices.
But he's just playing it in a different way that's frowned upon. So if he thinks it's so crappy, why should he be doing something like that?
He's treating it like a job. He's acting like it's his duty to go out and punish anybody who's trying to have a good time with this. He's the absolute scum of the earth.
Does he get a lot of viewers?
I've popped into his video channel a couple of times in the last couple of days, especially when I loaded up the game. I wanted to see if he was still invading.
Yeah.
It looks like he's about 700 to 1,000 viewers at any given time, with a small chunk of them in there saying, you're a piece of shit, I'm reporting you, blah, blah, but the grand majority egging him on.
Well, it takes about 400 if you're streaming like 50 hours a week to make money off Twitch to survive.
He's not on Twitch, it's YouTube.
I know, but YouTube, I think they pay actually pretty similar to what Twitch pays. So
he's making money.
He's probably making at least a more than a minimum wage job.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
A piece of shit. I was playing offline last night because I didn't want to have to deal with that crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
he'll get bored eventually.
Yeah, hopefully. So we'll have to wait a little while before we do our co-op playthrough that
Yeah.
we're definitely doing.
Oh, definitely. But I got to play through the game once because I never made it past Playtown.
No, we'll just do the co-op playthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else, Will?
PlayStation is no more PlayStation consoles for at least 3 years. So
That's awesome.
you don't have to worry about your games expiring real quick.
And now, are we counting things like PS4 Pro as new PlayStations, or is he actually coding it so that they can continue to release minimal upgrades without doing anything major?
They can do minimal upgrades. He's since said basically no next gen for at least 3 years.
So we could be getting a PS4 Pro Plus.
Oh yeah,
next
definitely.
year.
Yeah, that's a year and a half down the line for sure. That's not even a question.
God damn it.
Yeah, and Devolver Digital has pre-apologized for their E3 conference because last year they were the most popular show, and either they're playing everybody or they just didn't prepare properly.
They have to be playing everybody, right?
But of course they're playing everybody.
Yeah.
So that means it's going to be a great show because Devolver Digital are hilarious.
Remind me about Devolver Digital.
Well, Shadow Warrior 2.
Oh,
And
Devolver Digital.
And Titan
all
Souls.
all the games that I've been playing recently.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, there's a lot of actually really good Devolver Digital games. They make really unique, silly games, so
Okay.
they're not like another developer.
Cool.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about some Devolver Digital games?
I'm down.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing Titan Souls.
What is Titan Souls? Is it a Souls-like?
Depends what you define, how you define Souls like. The game
Very
is
tightly.
It's a boss game.
Okay.
And you're a little small pixel guy that doesn't even look that good in a large pixel world where everything else looks a lot better.
Okay.
The bosses are huge, and they take exactly one shot to kill.
Okay.
You have a bow and a roll, and that's all you really have. You can shoot one arrow, and then you can pull it back to you with the force.
Side-scrolling or top-down?
Top-down.
Okay.
And the goal is always to, solve the puzzle and hit the boss in its weak spot. So,
How many hits can you take?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, so whoever hits the other first wins.
1 and 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so I beat the first 3 bosses rather quickly, and they were okay. And every time I beat a boss, it was kind of disappointing because I would die 3 times, and then I would kill the boss, and I'd be like, "Wow, that was easy." Once I just got the right shot in, because it's just timing.
Mm.
And then I got to the 4th boss, and I saw my arrow go through the spot I need to hit twice in a row. And it's real annoying to have to pull that arrow back with the force all the time. So I ult F4'd.
So you think that was a mistake, that wasn't you not doing the correct thing?
Yes, I
Was it a glitch?
I felt like there was maybe not a glitch, but maybe it just wanted me to have more perfect timing.
Mm.
But it's just the gameplay itself of shooting the arrow and pulling it back with the force before you can
fun?
shoot another arrow, it wasn't fun.
Okay, well, that's the major failure.
Exactly.
Say no more.
4 out of 10.
Okay.
What about you guys?
That's actually really high.
Well, I beat 3 bosses.
Well, I suppose 4 out of 10, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You've been playing some Devolver Digital as well, Max?
I did finally start Shadow Warrior 2, which did either of you play Shadow Warrior 1?
I played a bit of Shadow Warrior once.
So you know what's going on here.
Yeah,
It's purposefully
violence.
written terribly and with over-the-top violence and some pretty good first-person swordplay. I gotta say, I wouldn't be unhappy if they did some sort of Star Wars game in that style, because it's the closest thing, I think, to playing Jedi Academy or Jedi Knight 2 when you were using the lightsaber, because it's kind of the same deal. There's only one attack button, but depending on how you're pressing the directional pad, that will determine whether you're doing horizontal or sideways slashes.
I do like that.
That is a nice thing.
I'm not too far in the game yet. I haven't unlocked too many of the powers that you can get, for example. Not all of the weapons yet. But it's a good time. Lo Wang is a pretty funny character to play as long as you are literally willing to constantly be, wallowing through the filth.
I was watching you play some, and I thought that the combat looked real good, and it looked like very enticing combat that I might be interested in playing. But those lines, when you say that it's intentionally written badly, it was intentionally written badly by people who can't even write in the first place, it seems. Like, it is painful.
It is always going for the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
It is. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, usually it will get a chuckle out of me because of how stupid it is. Like, I feel like it's a kind of stupid that is fully into. It's like a Family Guy style of stupidity.
Yeah. I feel like I might have seen something that just was a little too dumb for even me.
It's definitely possible, but if you're just getting snippets instead of taking it as the game chooses to feed it to you, and then it builds up to the really, really awful lines, it can be a lot of fun. But so I don't really want to render a rating yet. I'm going to try to play through it before we record again. But so far, 6 out of 10.
Does the game have any extra perks, masteries, anything like that in the menus, anything you level up?
Yeah, there's skill trees, there's items you can pick up and put into your weapons that affect the stats, and you have it's not really a skill tree, you just have a selection of different abilities that you can put your experience points into.
Got it.
That will, more HP and attack power, the standard stuff. Some things will increase your magical abilities. And there's a couple of powers that I haven't looked at because they're listed as co-op multiplayer powers.
Oh, interesting.
So that's its own thing, but that might be worth trying to look into in the future. Maybe do a little co-op on that game. Could be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. You guys have been continuing to play Warcraft 3, right?
I did play some more Warcraft 3.
Yeah, I played a little.
How's Warcraft 3?
It's a great game. For me, after finally beating the Orc campaign, which was very difficult, and in order to beat it, I had to just start spamming towers to defend my base, just in huge clumps, so that they could protect each other and be shields for each other, and just shoot things to death, really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really better than having a bunch of troops in your base.
Well, after amount of time, you reach your supply,
right?
And I need my troops to be out in the field.
That is the most annoying thing about the solo campaign, is the supply level seems restrictively low.
Right. And once you get even halfway up there, your gold income starts slowing down, and you can't build all the things you want to build. So it just feels sometimes like it's taking more time to do stuff than it should be.
Right.
Could it have been that they developed it too tough and then they just decided to cut some chunks out on release?
I don't know about that. I highly doubt it. I think that this game went out exactly as they envisioned it. I don't think that... considering how long it was between 2 and 3, and
that's
the
fair.
huge technology jump between... I doubt that there was anything that they weren't happy with. I think that they just... I feel like it's possible that they thought it would be too punishing if they, increase the difficulty and then increase the supply level.
Right. Because you have to be doing more and more things, and it gets so hectic, and people weren't so used to, really hectic video games back then as they are now with all the first-person shooters and all the things where you're doing 30 things at a time.
Yeah, and a game like that is more hectic than pretty much any other genre. It's just impossible once you get to a 200 unit limit and you're playing Zerg.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's like war because it's long periods of planning and waiting, and then short bursts until the final blast of attacking happens. That's going to eventually end. For good or ill.
Right.
But
chaos everywhere at once after a long time of building and building and building and building.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. It's a really good game. If you haven't played it, you should definitely play Warcraft 3, a classic.
Yeah, what do they sell it for? $10?
I think it was, $10.
Yeah.
And then another 10 if you want the expansion.
Right, which you don't have to get until you've played through the entire one and decided if you like it or not.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What a deal.
It is a good deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird that it doesn't force you to load Battle.net the way StarCraft does, though.
It is weird.
Anyway, moving on. Any other games, Sam?
Yes. Wanting to continue going a little retro, and because it was on sale, I picked up Descent 1, 2, and 3. Very old PC game. The thing about Descent is it gives you 6 axes of control for your spaceship that you can move along at any time. Pitch, yaw, roll, all of it. It gives it all to you. And that's very difficult to control all at once, but a lot of fun because you can do so much with it.
An unprecedented amount of control over your character that has never really been fully duplicated.
Right, exactly. And so I gave Descent 3 a try first. I remember when I was younger, I got Descent 3 and I was very excited about it, and I ended up being disappointed because I just kept getting stuck on one puzzle after another.
Uh-huh.
I find that to be the case again. But also, Descent 3 lacks a lot of the nostalgia that I have for Descent 1 and 2, because they kind of did away with the aesthetic that they used in these games, with like the creepy robots in the dark tunnels.
Because the graphics improved. So.
The graphics improved, and then they want to get more into the story, and so they're putting you in bases where you have to go and find keys or find a guy in a holding cell, which is find the thing to get through the door, and all of the robots have red and blue lights because they're security drones. So, I don't feel anything for killing these. So then I went to Descent 2. But then I found that I could not play it with a controller the way I was playing Descent 3.
Like it doesn't have it as an option at all?
It's not. There's a joystick option.
Ah.
Can't get it to function.
Got it.
Not at all. I've tried so many things. I've even tried modding it with a mod that used the source code of Descent that's been worked on for a long time, Descent Rebirth, to try and get it to work, because it boasts full controller, joystick, mouse, and keyboard support simultaneously.
No diggity.
Couldn't get it to work. So forget that. But then I found, from the creators of Descent, a new game by a different name, because they sold off the rights to Descent.
Right.
Overload. That is its name, right? Yeah, Overload. And my God, it is definitely the spiritual successor to Descent, giving you just as much movement. And right now it's in alpha, but it comes out on the 31st of this month. So I'm real shocked to find this hidden gem that I had no idea about. I'm definitely going to be buying it, and then I will be able to give it a review. As such, played the free demo. It's awesome.
Yeah, saw you playing it today more.
Yeah, right. I don't have that much. I have 2 challenge levels where it's survive as long as you can, and 1 demo mission level that isn't actually in the game. It's just to show off the thing.
Okay.
I've gotten already probably a good hour and a half out of just that. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to pick that up myself.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
And it's going to have a, I believe, versus multiplayer mode. I read about a multiplayer mode. I assume it's versus. But that could be a lot of fun fighting people and with as much control over their movement as you.
Right.
If they do it right, that could be a very popular game.
Absolutely.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. We could be on the forefront of that.
That's true. Exactly.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh,
Best, what's it called? Overload?
Overload.
Yeah, the best Overload players.
Yeah. Anybody else play anything else?
I did play more BroForce.
Yeah, BroForce.
Did you play BroForce?
No, but I would like to.
We should play some multiplayer BroForce. I don't want to say much more about BroForce. I talked about it some last time. Although I do think I neglected to mention last time that all the environments are almost fully destructible in BroForce. So you can be... it makes the movement and gameplay really fun because you're constantly... like if a hallway is too tough for you, you can figure out a way to tunnel underneath it or above it.
Yeah.
I love destructible environments.
The only other thing I wanted to say about BroForce is I wrote down a list of all of the bros I've gotten since last time, just so that you guys could laugh at how funny some of these are.
Yeah.
I got Rambro. I got Braid. I got Bro Dread.
Wait, who's Braid?
Blade.
Oh, of course.
I got Bro Dread, Bro in Black, who is Will Smith from Men in Black.
Yeah.
I got Brobocop.
BroForce.
I have Indiana Brones, who is the worst bro gameplay-wise. His whip is garbage.
Makes sense.
I have Ellen Ripbro. I have Time Bro, Time Cop.
Yeah.
Bronan, the Brobarian.
There you go.
I literally unlocked him like within 30 minutes of us stopping last recording when you asked me if I'd unlocked him yet.
Nice.
I got the Brocketeer. I got Dirty Brory. And the Boondock Bros.
All right. Okay.
Who actually have one of the best powers because it's two of them when they spawn in and they're both shooting. You're just controlling both at the same time.
Nice.
But their special ability is if one of them dies, you use a special ability and the other one respawns. So it's the only bro that gets an extra hit. Basically.
Oh.
Very useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very useful.
That's all I got.
Well,
That's all I got.
this has been a very entertaining video game section, and we're going to take a break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back. And we are back, giving you the very best of what we can, of what we've watched this week. So, first of all, let's do some news. Who wants to give me some news? Max?
Yes, I have quite a bit of news for us today.
Yeah.
So this was very nearly the stupid thing of the week. In a on social media post, I think it was yesterday, Damon Lindelof, who is the showrunner for HBO's upcoming Watchmen television series, indicated that in a post that started off with "Hi, it's the guy in charge of ruining your childhood." Like he made some super smarmy post to start it off for one thing.
Yeah.
But he said that not only will this not be a direct adaptation or a sequel to the original Watchmen story, it will in fact just be a reimagining that takes place in the modern day because it needs to include, as he said, it has to reflect the age of May, Putin, and Trump. Nobody wants this.
Nobody wants this.
How do you even call that Watchmen? That doesn't sound like Watchmen. Watchmen is the characters.
None of the characters from Watchmen will be in this, I'm led to understand.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm betting that perhaps we'll get Dr. Manhattan, but other than that...
Dr. Manhattan comes along to be like, Trump is bad.
I know. Yeah, very stupid, and I hope that show fails.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, definitely.
Today, they announced that James Mangold, the director of Logan, which both of y'all need to watch ASAP, has been attached to direct a now-in-production Boba Fett solo film for Disney.
I like this.
Boba Fett? Boba Fett where?
I like Boba Fett.
Everybody likes Boba Fett, but maybe they won't so much after the movie. Maybe it will be too little too late. I mean, a Boba Fett movie would have been enormously popular 15 years ago.
Every single thing we've learned about Boba Fett since the original trilogy came out has done damage to the character.
That's fair.
It's so true.
Boba Fett in the former expanded universe, like in the novels, was actually pretty cool. The whole story of him getting out of the Sarlacc pit and his adventures after that were real cool, dark, gritty adventures, and did a very good job of not telling us anything about Boba Fett's origin or past, other than little intriguing snippets. Because like Joker and Wolverine, Boba Fett is one of the things that's cool about Boba Fett is that he looks cool and you don't know what his deal is.
Yeah.
All we knew about Boba Fett
after
his introduction in The Empire Strikes Back is that he's the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, and he's the only bounty hunter in that room that Darth Vader needed to point a finger at and say, no disintegrations.
Yeah.
And that by itself was okay, what did he do for Darth Vader? Who did he disintegrate? The fact that Darth Vader didn't kill him for so many cool things.
Yeah, that's true. Really.
And just finding out the fact that he's a clone by itself, I feel like is
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. We already had his origin. So at least we know this won't be an origin story.
Right.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I read 6 Boba Fett books that were all his origin story, and I enjoyed them, but I was also a stupid kid.
Yeah, right. Those were too young for me by the time they came out, so I don't think I read those, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Ugh, Boba Fett. A couple other little tidbits. Michael Sheen was added to the cast of Sony's upcoming Bloodshot movie starring Vin Diesel, which leads me to now believe that this movie may actually get made.
Yeah, really.
They've been working on these Valiant movies for a couple of years now, and they've just been in kind of production hell, and I just always assumed that would never happen. But
comic book movies are very good right now, and since Marvel and DC, you can't go and make your Marvel DC movies. If you're a movie maker and you want a comic book, you have to go to one of these other companies, and they make good comics.
And I bet that the success of the Deadpool franchise has lit a fire under them, because even though Bloodshot isn't a comedy character in any way, he's got similar powers and would definitely need to be an R-rated film. So hopefully, I mean, Vin Diesel's a huge nerd.
Yeah,
so he's a very good choice.
Definitely. He'll read everything.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that dude loves Dungeons and Dragons
and Street Sharks. Last, we saw this week a preview image, or a couple of images were shown for Matt Groening's new TV series that he's developing for Netflix, Disenchantment, which is it's like a medieval fantasy starring like a hard-drinking princess played by Abby Jacobson. And Eric Andre is the co-star. I don't know what character he's playing.
I believe his name is Elfie.
Oh, I think he's an elf.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that basically every single person from the Futurama voice cast is also going to be part of the main voice cast for this series. It's a Futurama reunion.
And it literally looks like a Simpsons medieval scene.
It's the Matt Groening art style through and through.
So he did his present day Simpsons, his future Futurama, and now he's dialing it back. Let's get some medieval Groening.
Right.
Groening.
So that should be a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And the fact that it's on Netflix, who knows? Maybe it'll be a little raunchier.
Oh, it's true.
He'll be able to go a little farther with it.
But that might also be a bad thing. We don't know.
I mean,
you never do know.
We already know that the main character is going to be a drunk played by Abby Jacobson from Broad City. So I think that right there is going to be a big hint at the direction they're going. And Eric Andre, that dude is an absurdist humorist. And even though he's just voice acting a character, just the fact that he's on there.
If he's in the room, he is making influence.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some stuff we watched this week.
What did you guys watch?
Sam, why don't we start with, I think you blasted through all of Westworld.
Yeah, after last week where I watched the first episode before casting, I was instantly hooked. So I watched everything else.
Right. You caught all the way up.
I caught all the way up. I blasted through season 1, and then I took a day off, but I couldn't stay away. I had to blast through what's out of season 2 as well. My goodness. Is it a good show?
Let's go back to season 1 real quick. Just do season 1 in general.
Season 1 in general.
What a tour de force. Like, just everything about it is basically perfect.
That is really true. And the fact that the show makes an art form of ambiguity is so good.
It trains you to look for clues in everything. Every twitch that an actor makes, every little thing that the camera focuses on or is in the background of a shot.
Right.
Little patterns, things on the walls, the maze popping up everywhere.
I figured that one out.
And just the whole multiple timelines thing, the fact that they don't tell you forever that you are watching two timelines separated by, 30 years, 40 years?
About 30 or 40 years,
yeah. Because it's enough time for Jimmy Simpson to age and become Ed Harris.
Right. And that caught me completely by surprise.
And if you look at... Because Reddit did figure out that this was happening pretty early. Because they figured that was the only way to explain why Dolores' hallucinations were happening during the trip they were taking. It's because she wasn't hallucinating, it's just that the hosts don't have a sense of time. So if they have a memory, the way that their system's put together, they just think it's happening to them.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. And it wasn't until the new update that they got the ability to think of their memories as memories and actually learn from them. The whole Reveries update.
Yeah.
Just the whole... I'm still convinced that by the end of the first season, the only host that's actually thinking for herself is Maeve.
I could see that being the case.
I think that Dolores, by the end of season 1, is just a combination, maybe even an alternation of Dolores and Wyatt.
Right. She's several characters. Now, but still, you can never be quite sure.
Very true. And moving on to season 2, I think the most interesting thing, going back to the themes from season 1, is Teddy's journey, James Marsden's journey to sentience.
Right, because you see it happening, but you keep thinking, that dude ain't sentient.
Right.
That dude ain't sentient.
Little things keep happening where you're like, oh, he's not getting it yet.
Right. He's just repeating stuff. He doesn't actually understand at all.
Right, exactly.
It's so funny.
But now that you've watched it, we can go back to the thing that I said was so stupid about the third episode, which is when the highly trained Delos military team decides to attack the fort that Dolores is teaming up with the Confederados at, and they decide to walk down like they're Revolutionary War musket firers walking in a straight line.
Yeah.
Where's the snipers? Where's attacking at night with night vision goggles? Where's the heavy body armor? Like, what are you even thinking?
Where's surrounding the place before you storm it?
Right.
It's all from one direction in a line.
And, the other thing, the whole sequence with Jimmy Simpson and then Ed Harris repeatedly talking to his father-in-law once he's replaced by a host.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's such a great episode because of the way they keep coming back to that and the way we're seeing that this guy is moving from sentience to, oh, no, he doesn't have it. Like, they can't get it yet.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Anything else you want to mention that you like or dislike?
I love that I can't tell who's a good guy and who's a bad guy.
This season, it's much harder to root for Dolores than it is in season 1.
Oh, yeah.
She's anti-hero, almost antagonist in this season.
Right.
Yeah.
They've flipped it around, and now William is kind of seems like he's the hero, even though originally he's introduced as a really bad guy.
Right. Him and Dolores have almost switched places,
Yep.
and the only character we're ever supposed to really empathize with is Bernard.
Right. Bernard.
Yes.
Who was updating these robots?
Well, Anthony Hopkins' character, Ford, released like a final update before he had Dolores kill him in front of all of the shareholders in order to show that these things couldn't be controlled or to give them the ability. Like, we don't know if he programmed Dolores to shoot him or if he gave her the option and she chose to.
Right. But definitely he gave the robots some kind of freedom.
Yes, some kind of freedom, but just every time that Ed Harris's seems to be repeatedly encountering the ghost of Ford in the machine. He'll try to do something, and then like a host will walk up to him and be like, "I've designed this game specifically for you. You can't do this," and like we'll make something else happen where it's clear that the ghost of Ford is still fully in control of all of these hosts.
Right. Where in season 1 you're led to believe that it's Arnold who's doing all of this,
right.
And all these machines are telling Ed Harris, the maze, it's not for you. This isn't a game for you. But now it's flipped around again, and
this game is for you.
This game is for him,
bitch.
And it's totally what he wanted.
And I think that this season we're going to see probably a little bit more, hopefully, of why Ford dislikes William so much. Because now that William, and especially in the past, is becoming so much more ruthless and like evil businessman.
Oh yeah.
And in the future scenes that he and Ford shared in the first season, we could tell that Ford really didn't like him. So I really hope that they kind of like flesh out their relationship a little bit in some way, even though we know Anthony Hopkins ain't going to come back and film any scenes.
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's move on real quick to the most recent episode of Westworld, which introduces us to Shogunworld.
Shogunworld,
which is the world that is for the people who thought Westworld is too tame. It takes place in the Edo period of feudal Japan, which is a very bloody period, and it's dope.
It is dope.
That we get some good sword action. The actors they bring in for the hosts are excellent. And when we see them repeating the heist on the whorehouse that's identical to the heist that the robots in Westworld did in the first episode, even and set to another variation.
Right, first you get the Western country music version of Paint It Black, and then you get the
Japanese wind version. Yeah.
I think I've probably heard that song before.
Yeah. I see a red door and I want to paint it black.
Yeah, but I mean like a Japanese,
Oh,
very,
the
very
actual
Japanese
Westworld
version.
Well, it's Rolling Stones. I'm sure they've been. You could probably find a classical album.
Right, but just great that they did that.
And then when Lee, the writer, has to explain, like, look, it's hard coming up with like 36 stories a week or whatever he said. Like,
Right.
So a lot of times he's just ripping off the plots from one part of the park and reapplying them to the other part. And it's funny because then when the hosts that are like the equivalents to each other like encounter each other, they don't know how to react at all. Because like the Armistice, the tattoo faced girl, when she meets her double, they're like
Just
really
staring
into
at
each other. And then Hector versus the Ronin, like they really don't like each other.
Right.
You can tell like, oh, I really want to kill that guy.
Yeah, you guys say a lot of good sci-fi terms while you're talking about Westworld, but nothing's more tempting to me than Shogunworld.
It's great. So far, we've seen 3 worlds total between Westworld, Shogunworld, and Rajworld.
Yeah, Rajworld is like a safari?
Yeah, it seems like Rajworld is the easier version.
Right, for like couples to go together on trips.
Right. It's, I want to do like the Jungle Book. And like,
Right.
at worst, you can go out to the edge and maybe hunt a tiger.
Right.
Oh.
It's not like Westworld where, you get out to the edge of the park and it's lawless bandits and confederados.
And do we know how many of these areas there are in the parks?
The ARG game online seems to have suggested that there are 6 parks.
Nice.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get Future World because that was the original sequel to Westworld, the film. Yes. And
I would like that very much.
So Future World would be cool, and then what do you do with 2 other worlds?
Ice World!
Find 2 more really bloody periods. Give us Viking World.
Ooh, Viking World, that's good.
And I don't know.
What about go way back and have it be like Caveman World?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Right?
Wow. Got one that's sailing and stuff, and one that's hunting with other guys.
Oh, sailing though makes me think that Pirate World might have to be one.
Well, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
All right. So, did either of you have anything else you watched?
Nope.
No?
Well, no. Well, you gotta watch more TV, bro. You guys should watch Logan before next week's episode. It's on HBO. But I did go to the cinema this week. I used the opportunity provided by Deadpool 2's release, hopefully drawing all the jackasses away, to go and see A Quiet Place. Written, directed, and starring John Krasinski from The Office, along with his real-life wife, Emily Blunt.
Huh.
And it's a very interesting little horror movie that is not something you'd ever want to watch more than once. It's a very competently made film. Like, it looks very good.
Yeah.
The conceit, of course, is that some aliens have attacked Earth and wiped out a lot of major population centers. These aliens are blind and don't seem to have a sense of smell, but their sense of hearing is extremely acute, to the point where the only way that this family has survived is that they live in the forest in the middle of nowhere. They don't make any noise. They use sign language to talk. They play board games with cloth pieces. The dad has laid sand out all over, like to lead paths through everywhere they would want to go, and they're always walking barefoot on the sand to get anywhere. And it's a very cool setup. But the movie treats the audience like they're idiots. In order to get us the backstory and the plot in this movie, where the characters can't talk freely, very early in the movie they show us the dad's basement area, his like little command center, which, side note, they have a ton of electricity in their house, and he's running like 8 monitors in the basement. They got lights everywhere. There's no way they can be generating that power without having some sort of noise somewhere. But he's got this whiteboard on the wall of the basement that says, 3 creatures nearby. What is their weakness? Armor plating? Like, and it's like all these things, and it's literally like explaining out like the plot of the movie, and it just shows us this board so many times, and like right up to the point at the ending where like the big reveal happens, and we find out the creature's weakness, and they manage to shoot one in the head with a shotgun. And big spoilers here, people, for the ending of this movie, because this movie doesn't end; it stops. They discover the creature's weakness, blow its head off.
Its weakness is a shotgun to the head?
The weakness is that one of the John Krasinski's kids is deaf, and he's been trying to develop a hearing aid for her to help her hear. Yeah. And he's been repeatedly unsuccessful, but she's got the latest one that he's developed in her ear, and when she turns it on while the creature's nearby, and they have hinted at this a couple of times earlier in the movie, made it super obvious for us idiots in the audience.
Yeah.
The creature's totally destabilized by the pitch that comes from the hearing aid. The creature's head, the design is pretty cool. Their head is made up of all these moving plates attached by stalks to a center core that like it can close down and just be regular head, but then they pop out and it's all this moving stuff. And the pitch from the hearing aid causes them to go crazy, and it leaves this big fleshy spot open that Emily Blunt shoots with a shotgun.
Oh.
But so like they do that. And we see on the monitors that the other two creatures that live in the forest, they heard that shot. They're running that way through the forest. And Emily Blunt looks at her daughter, and her daughter looks at her and looks at the hearing aid. And Emily Blunt cocks the shotgun, and screen goes black. Credits roll. It's there's a bunch of jump scares in it that are like cheap jump scares, which I really hate, especially in a movie that's so moody and like well thought out in terms of like the shooting and presentation. It's kind of disappointing. It was very like there was actually ended up being a lot of people in the audience at the theater I went to, and it was a weird experience because I got popcorn and I would put some in my mouth and start crunching, and I would feel like that's the only thing anybody in the theater could hear.
Oh. Yeah.
So it was a very weird experience.
You know what? I saw a trailer for this movie once. I totally know what it is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen it once, I could not think of a single reason to ever watch it again. It's not interesting. 3 out of 10.
It's more of an art piece.
It felt very much like a student film.
Okay.
It really, the phrase I like to use for it is half-baked. It seemed like it needed a couple more passes at the script phase first, because they didn't have enough there.
Maybe a Mars Attacks style ending where they go around with their hearing aid in a car that they bootstrap up shooting aliens.
Give us a little more action at the end. Absolutely. But yeah, the way because there's they're talking in sign language and there's subtitles for the majority of the movie, but there's almost no character development because the characters can't talk to each other, and
not even signing with subtitles.
No, they do, but it's very much like here's the bare minimum we need to talk about. They're not having like long conversations. There's some cool stuff. Like at one point, John Krasinski takes his son over to a waterfall, and they go underneath the waterfall, and then he's like, "Hey, we can talk here." And
that's cool.
Yeah, so there's little hints and touches. It's a very well made movie. It just is not interesting.
Yeah,
3 out of 10.
That's unfortunate. Especially because people say such good things about it. Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
It's very undeserving of the praise. I think it was very overhyped. It's not close to Get Out or You're Next. In my opinion, the two best horror movies of the last 5 years.
And the ones you'll confuse it with because of its name for some reason.
Well, My Place is a little more, but Get Out and You're Next are pretty similar title-wise.
Yeah.
So, guys, shall we move on to some character rankings?
I think that's a great idea.
I once again have prepped 2 lists. You guys can choose one. They're both bangers.
They're both bangers?
Yeah, like A+.
Okay.
We got 3 number ones. We're 3 engineers.
I'm going to go with engineers.
I want to go with number ones, though.
Then I'm going to make the executive decision that we're going to go with engineers.
All right.
No! I've put them on the list more, and we haven't picked them. So.
Yeah, that's true.
The first engineer we're going to talk about is Lieutenant Commander Geordi LaForge.
Oh, Geordi's a good character.
Geordi's a nice guy.
They got a funny theory about him on that podcast, Star Trek The Next Conversation. But other than that, and the fact that some of his episodes aren't the best.
Right, that's the problem, is that episodes that focus on Geordi tend to be worse. Right. The 2 episodes with Dr. Leah Brahms are kind of cringy.
Yeah.
The one where he's turning into a chameleon is not great.
No, not a good one.
I do like the one where he is trapped on the planet with the Romulan.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah.
But Star Trek does that episode
very well, yeah.
Yeah, they got that down.
You know, I really like Geordi as a character, but when you really think about it, he's very much a supporting cast in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he does work best when he's near Commander Riker or Data.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, really, where do we want to start a guy like Geordi LaForge?
I gotta be honest, I do like Geordi a lot, but because of his weaknesses as a character, I don't think he's going to go as high as some people are going to want him. I don't know if Geordi is better than Wei-Yun.
And that's about where I would have thought to start him as well, just around that Wayoon, Dr. Phlox area.
You know, I might actually bump him up a little.
I think below Tuvok might be where I put him. Because for some reason, and it's not just the skin color, I kind of think of the two characters
Why'd you even mention
similar. Because I thought of it right when I said that. And I'm like, oh man, I can't make this come off badly.
I think that's the right spot. Good enough. Tuvok is definitely better with episodes that focus on him.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of everything they add.
I feel like I get more laughs from Tuvok than Geordi, but I am entertained by both of them.
All right, we're going to add number 16. Lieutenant Commander Geordi LaForge.
Yeah, Geordi LaForge.
Old
I wrote Georgie.
I know, but it's funny.
All right. Next on the list of engineers is going to be what's his first name? I can't remember his first name. But Lieutenant Stamets from Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, yes, Stamets. I don't know his first name, but I know he's Stamets. He's
Right.
not John, is he?
I can't remember. I wanted to say Hugh, but that's his husband's name. Yeah, but Stamets is. We'll add it in later. But Stamets.
Refresh my memory.
He's the guy who's in charge of the Spore Drive. He's the one who designs it and then gets plugged into it.
Got it.
Best character on that show, in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. Saru is probably close to him, but Stamets is consistently the most entertaining in terms of the plots that are attached to him and the actual acting of the character.
Yes, he is.
He's a character that we haven't seen on Star Trek before.
That's true.
And not just because of the gay part.
The F-bomb.
Right. He did drop the F-bomb, that's true. The second F-bomb.
The second F-bomb.
But
Billy got the first one.
Right, exactly. But yeah, and it's funny because for the first time we were introduced to him, I was sure I was going to hate this character.
Oh, because he was acting like a dick at first.
Yes, very much so. But once you got into the kind of character he is, he becomes almost one of the most human characters on any Star Trek show because, people are kind of bitchy.
Yeah.
It weirdly, it detracts from the show feeling like a Star Trek show just because typically in the Federation nobody's bitchy. Maybe B'Elanna Torres a little bit. Right. But, this guy, is very... And they justify it, though, when he pulls out this, look, we're in a war, and this is not why I signed on for the Federation. And you can really kind of... You can get into that.
It's true. Yeah. And I'd say he also gets points for giving us another thing that we don't really get in Star Trek is a character who goes kind of out of his mind for several episodes.
Right, yes.
And it's very entertaining when he's shrooming out for those, half the show, really.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time. Is the episode where he's in the time loop the best episode of the first season?
Oh, yeah. The best standalone, for sure.
Yeah, true.
Hands down, so...
Yeah, so Stamets is going to go high.
I agree. Stamets does go high.
I think Stamets is going to go higher than the people we just ranked.
I'd agree.
On top of Quark?
I think that Stamets might go right below Dax.
Right below Dax, huh?
Puts him...
above Chekhov?
Above Chekhov, above Tuvok, but still below Dax, below Quark.
I think I could agree with that. But I think that this might be one that we asterisk.
Well, when it comes down to it, basically everybody from Discovery is going to have to get an asterisk.
Right, because of the potential. I could definitely see him rating higher than Dax in time, but we have only had one season, so I'll consent to him being placed right below Dax.
Well, you don't think he's better than Quark?
I don't think he's better than Quark.
Let's do it right below Dax. I'm pretty sure he's lieutenant, and we'll fill in the first name later.
He's a specialist.
Oh, is he just a specialist? He's in a...
I'm pretty sure he's specialist Stamets.
I'll look this up after.
He has the right to take his stuff and go home.
He said that, didn't he?
He did say that.
That's right. He's just a scientist.
Yeah.
Hey, great.
Hey, and I mean, we're kind of fudging it just because I don't think we saw a chief engineer of Discovery. Did we? Somebody who's actually in charge of the warp core?
No, we never saw that.
So
that's acceptable.
All right. Last is going to be a character I really like, honestly. Commander Trip Tucker from Star Trek Enterprise.
Man, he might be the best on Enterprise as well. I mean, engineers, man.
He is my favorite from Enterprise. There's something about his down-home, corn-fed accent and attitude that reminds me a lot of Kirk in a way.
Yeah, he's a steak and potatoes kind of guy.
Right, exactly. He's like he's like he would be a truck driver or something. Like, you know,
Yeah.
he'd own his own like auto repair shop or something if he was living nowadays, and he'd be like the guy you want to go to.
Yeah, I can see that.
And his relationship with T'Pol is alternatively acceptable and cringy.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens in Star Trek.
Yeah, very much so. And of course, he gets a heroic death, which hardly ever happens for characters.
Yeah, that's true. And it's really
It's almost a pointless death.
Heart-wrenching. That's the thing about it. It leaves you feeling so hollow.
It's just such a small act. It had to happen, and somebody had to do it, and he needed to do it, and he did it.
Yeah.
He's a damn hero.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Trip Tucker. I think that he needs to go pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah.
I'm going to put him above McCoy, below Ducat. That's where I'm starting.
Man, where even is that? Oh, I see it.
Higher.
Yeah.
Higher up.
9 and 10, huh?
He could break the top 10. Because when it comes to, like, especially with the accent, like, him and Dr. McCoy are almost like two sides of the coin. You know what I mean? Like, one's the grouchy country guy, and one's, like, the optimistic country boy.
Yeah, that's true.
Trip Tucker is almost like Clark Kent.
Definitely better than Khan.
He's a wholesome guy.
Khan is not in enough.
That's fair.
Trip has given me more entertainment over the years than Khan.
Yeah.
Well, I can't really offer an opinion on this one.
Yeah, so it's up to us.
Right. And I think I'm going to agree with you.
I'm not ranking him too high.
Oh, man. Let me look at this. We got Gold Ducat. Under that, Dr. McCoy, Khan, Quark.
And then Dax and Stamets.
Dax and Stamets.
I mean, this is a pretty top-heavy list right now. I mean, just because somebody's moving... we like all of these characters a lot. Don't get the wrong idea.
They're so good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm thinking, right under Ducat.
And Ducat, I do like Gold Ducat more, for sure.
All right. Then it is a good
It's
spot.
hard for me to put anybody above Ducat, as he's, in my opinion, one of the greatest villains in anything.
Yes, one of the best villains in TV at all, and the best villain in Star Trek, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
All right, Commander Charles Trip Tucker.
All right, that makes 39.
39, 36.
No, that's because it's out of order.
Oh.
I have to manually fix that.
You weirdo.
Well, I want us to be able to view them all on one screen.
And just to remind our listeners who may not remember, number one on our list is currently Lieutenant Commander Data.
Makes sense.
And at the bottom of our list, anchoring the bottom, is a regular universe Captain Gabriel Lorca.
Regular universe. The one who blew himself up.
Is there a worse character?
Well, if he shows up, he may prove us wrong.
Well, I mean, if he showed up and it's Jason Isaacs, I'm sure he'd prove us wrong, but I don't see Jason Isaacs doing that.
Very true.
Well, all right.
We're going to take a break.
We're going to take a break.
And we are back with the Transformer of the Week. This week we're bringing you a Beast Wars classic. Max?
Sam, why don't you say who this is?
Okay, it's Rhinox. Beast
nice.
Wars original with two little spinning blades.
That's what that noise
those
is.
in the show?
Yeah, they're Gatling guns, remember? It's two Gatling guns.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
With the buzzsaws on the ends.
They pull right out of his gut, just like in the show. So.
Accuracy.
Looks like he has a pretty perfect transformation.
Yeah, he looks
into
great.
a rhino.
Yeah, he looks like a good rhino when he's in rhino mode.
Yeah, the moral center of the Beast Wars crew.
Yeah, he's basically the Ratchet of the Beast Wars crew.
Right.
Yeah. A little slower, a little older. One of the guys that the Optimus of the series is going to go to when he needs a confidant.
Right, exactly. Number one.
Right, exactly. Rhinox. Is he the best character in Beast Wars?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, well, maybe. There's some, I mean...
Silverbolt.
I was going to say Dinobot.
Oh, Dinobot is the best character in Beast Wars. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, let's move on. I embarrassed myself.
Yeah, I forgot about Dinobot.
On to the comic book news.
All right. So I'll talk a bunch more again, guys.
Cool.
In pretty good news, they announced the first ever recipient of the Joe Kubert Storyteller Award for, I guess, excellence in comic storytelling.
Yeah.
And the guy who got it couldn't deserve it more. Stan Sakai, writer and artist of every issue of Usagi Yojimbo.
Oh, okay.
And I've never read a bad issue of Usagi Yojimbo. It's perfect for adults. It's perfect for kids. You remember when our little nephew was over a couple of months ago?
Obsessed with it.
Not put it down. He just carried it around with him wherever he went.
Yep, exactly. So it could not be more deserved. Pasadena native.
And it's the first of this award?
Yes, this is the first ever Joe Kubert Storyteller Award. Joe Kubert, of course, is a legendary comics artist.
All right.
So I don't know if I think it's a school or an organization that uses his name, but it's a fairly prestigious and a worthy accolade.
Cool.
Nice.
In interesting Venom news, another Venom series has been announced. This one
Left and right.
Yeah, so now this series is going to spin out of that photograph that the military dude showed to Eddie in the first issue of Venom, where it showed the symbiote
guys.
team. Yeah, and the series is going to be called Web of Venom, which
in Vietnam?
It's going to take place during the Vietnam War. So we will be buying and reviewing every issue of that.
I'll read that one too.
Last week, did I mention the announcement of West Coast Avengers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not worth talking about anymore.
Did you have any more comic book news?
That's all the news.
All right, let's get into some comics that we've read. Now, Max, you said that you had a lot of digital.
I read 4 issues digitally this week.
Nice.
The comic book store I go to is fairly small, so they get all the big 2 stuff, and they'll get Valiant and Dark Horse and Image. But when it comes to the smaller publishers like Titan, or you guys like that, usually I have to go digital because I'm not a good comic buyer. I don't go in 4 months in advance and tell them, I need you to order this for me.
Yeah.
But I did buy and read the first issue of Titan Comics' Dark Souls, The Age of Fire, written by Ryan O'Sullivan with art by Anton Kokorev, and it is fine. And that by itself makes it much better than every previous Dark Souls comics adaptation. This actually definitely takes place in the continuity of the games. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, is a major figure. The entire intro seems to take place during the opening FMV for Dark Souls 1, where Gwyn and his army of Silver Knights are waging war with the dragons. And our main character is a Silver Knight who was a part of this battle against the dragons, who cowered in fear when one of the dragons attacked. Ooh. And Artorias, legendary Wolf Knight Artorias, leapt out and slew the dragon and quickly leapt away. And in the confusion, Lord Gwyn came down and thought that our main character Silver Knight is the one who slew that dragon, and our Silver Knight doesn't correct him. So then the story goes forward some number of years to where our main guy is now one of the most respected Silver Knights because of his actions during the war, but there haven't been any dragons for a long time. So things are getting a little tight for him. And we're going to see a little bit, it looks like, of the war between Gwyn and his knights and Seath and his channelers. And we get hints that we're going to be sending the Silver Knights down to battle against the Witch of Izalith, and as she is attempting to reignite the flame using chaos magic, which is the origin story of the Black Knights from the game, which is when the Silver Knights went down into her area in battle, and they won, but their armor was scorched black by the fires of the chaos bed.
Cool.
So it's pretty cool. We got some characters who are named characters, none of whom's name I can recall, and it seems like it might be interesting. We'll have to see. The
whole gray tone to it, and then the occasional bright color popping out, I just feel like it looks really weird.
It very much fits in with the aesthetic of the games themselves, though.
It's true.
So, yeah, good stuff. And I think Artorias is going to be in it a bunch, so that's cool. Artorias is the man.
All right.
All right. Oop, you can cancel that. And so next, I wanted to talk about the latest issue of Star Trek Next Generation Through the Mirror.
Nice.
This is issue 4 of, I don't know if it's going to be 5 or 6, but it definitely seems like we're really ramping up at this point. This issue takes place primarily from the perspective of the Mirror crew, as we finally see that their plan all along has been to lure the regular universe Enterprise to a spot where they can trick the crew off by simulating a disaster and then use their universe warping power to bring the Enterprise over so that they can have 2 Enterprises. And
Nice.
this is their plan is eventually to hop into all the various parallel universes they can find and put together a fleet of Galaxy-class ships that'll outclass anything that the Cardassian Klingon Alliance has. But they don't do the best job. The excellence of the regular Enterprise crew manages to defeat this plan almost instantaneously when they recognize that something is wrong and don't evacuate the ship as planned. And then while the Mirror crew is standing around arguing why the plan hasn't worked yet, the regular crew beams down and says, "Hi, you're under arrest." Well, they don't say you're under arrest, but
Yeah, basically.
So we get this nice face-off on the last page of the Mirror crew being held at phaser point by the good crew. And, we're going to see how that goes.
That's a nice little line up there.
And, of course, we get a couple more pages of the backstory, which shows that the reason that the Mirror crew knows about the regular universe is because Data of the Mirror universe tracked down Mirror Spock and got the backstory out of him of Kirk coming over and inspiring him and learning about the other universes. And it ends with Data, it looks like about to bring... He's either brought a bunch of Tellarite goons and they're going to get Spock, or a bunch of Tellarite goons are secretly guarding Spock and are about to come after Data. I do not know, but we will see next issue, presumably. And going by what we know of the main plot, I don't think Data's going to lose.
Yeah. No. Data doesn't lose.
So this continues to be an entertaining, fast-paced series that is all fan service, which that's when it comes to Star Trek. What more could you want?
Yeah, really.
Especially when it comes to Next Gen.
I also read the first 2 issues of Titan Comics' The Prisoner by Peter Milligan.
What is this?
Well, let me tell you guys. There's this TV show from the 60s starring Patrick McGowan called The Prisoner.
I'm familiar.
Have you ever watched episodes of The Prisoner?
One episode.
And you all will recall the episode of The Simpsons where
Yes.
Homer is taken to the island and given a number. It's The Prisoner. We're getting a new series based on The Prisoner, and it appears to be a sequel because it stars a new spy who is attempting to, he knows about the village, and he's taking steps to somehow infiltrate the village to rescue his partner, who they think was captured and taken to the village.
Got it.
And the whole first issue is him trying to figure out what he needs to do to get in there, and he breaks into his own intelligence headquarters and learns some huge secret about a big project that they're doing, and that is called Pandora. And that's enough for him to get taken by the people of the island. And or the village, and so now it appears it's going to be a very similar type of thing where he's got a piece of information that the island wants, and they're going to try to get it from him.
Nice.
And it's pretty entertaining, I got to say. Peter Milligan is he's a good hired gun writer. He's written some pretty cool stuff. He's known for some Constantine runs and things like that. And the art is pretty decent, and we've got some cool mindfuck things happening, which is what The Prisoner should be.
Yeah, definitely.
And lots of betrayals, and the second issue has a classic prisoner trope, which is almost allowing him to escape, but then, of course, it turns out that the whole escape was manufactured by the village in order to trick him into revealing the information that they want from him.
Oh, what a pain in the ass.
So, and then the second issue ends with a really cool cliffhanger of him turning his gun on himself and pulling the trigger, so I can't wait to see how they get him out of this one.
They're we really gotta get people there. We gotta get them into this.
Yeah, so I think that anybody who enjoyed the show isn't going to be disappointed by this. We'll see where it goes, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Yeah.
The comic book format will be interesting.
So there actually was a comic adaptation of The Prisoner previously, back when it was coming out. I don't know if it was ever actually released. I feel like it wasn't, but it was Jack Kirby doing all of the art.
Nice.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Definitely.
Very cool.
Prisoner, huge influence on Grant Morrison.
Oh, cool.
So let's move on to some of the physical issues that we read this week. Let's start with all the Moon Knight you read, which I think catches us up to what just came out this week.
Yep, once I saw that I was only 3 issues behind with the newest release coming out, I decided to blow through those 2 issues and then read the most recent one.
So first let's talk about the end of the Sun King arc, Crazy Runs in the Family. And, tell them what... I really liked this ending. What did you think?
I thought it was great. Just him seeming like he's gonna lose and getting half of his head burned, a tooth knocked out, blood running down his face. He really looks crazy. And then inside his mind is going on the conversation between his alter egos where they seem to realize that his superpower is that he's crazy.
Right.
And because of that, he's able to just crazy his way.
We have the power of crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
We have the power of crazy. And with that, he's able to beat down Sun King and basically make Sun King submit to him.
It does almost seem like their powers are faith-based.
Right.
Like how much they believe in themselves is how powerful they are, because once he gets Sun King on the down low and starts intimidating him, Sun King's power seems to just dry up.
Right, he's done. Like, almost instantly.
I actually really like that.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying after everything that's happened in this arc. Just for that ending to come so quick and yet be so satisfying.
Yeah, it's
really good.
Good stuff. And well drawn. I really like Jason Burrow's pencils. He's very clean. All of the action is extremely easy to follow.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't skimp on backgrounds. It's just really good stuff.
Yeah. Moon Knight is really good action with some pretty decent insanity to go along with it.
It's taking Batman a little further, a little bit more into the mental illness side for the main character as opposed to the villains he's facing.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun.
So, next let's talk about Moon Knight 194 with art by Ty Templeton, who I think I've mentioned before is one of my favorite comic artists.
Yeah, he's really good, and, this issue would not be the same without his art, that's for sure, because this is a kind of a one-off.
Yes.
Because it's just a story of Mark Spector's childhood.
Yeah, and something really weird and creepy that happened to him as a kid.
Right, with this rabbi who he looked up to as an uncle, who he accidentally discovered was maybe a Nazi serial killer.
Definitely a Nazi.
Who likes to torture and kill Jewish kids in the basement of his synagogue.
Which Mark is.
Right, which Mark is at this point, a young Jewish boy. And, he has found a way to give himself longevity through feeding his dark impulses.
Right, with some exsanguination.
Yeah, very creepy. And Mark is able to escape from him through pure frantic force of fear.
Yes, a little bit of a flash of his future crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
but
berserker rage.
But it says in this one that Mark never forgot the last words that the rabbi said to him as he was leaving, which was, "Don't worry, you'll find a way to live with this."
Right.
Just chilling. Truly chilling.
Absolutely.
And that's basically the entire issue. It's Mark telling that to... I forget who.
Is it his wife? Is it his daughter?
I think it's his wife, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's his daughter.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What a story to lay on your child.
I know, right?
But, yeah, pretty good.
And then the latest issue, where we move to art by Paul Davidson, who is also pretty good. Very different from Ty Templeton, because he's a lot more into almost the caricature version, where things are a little more over the top. But
and that fits perfectly for what's going on here.
Because this is almost an issue of Doom Patrol.
It looks really funky.
It's so weird.
The villain in this issue, which is the main thing to talk about, is 4 people who merged into one person using some weird technology.
It's like...
and have continued to absorb.
They're anarchists, and, like, they love themselves and hate everything, and especially capitalism, and they want true socialism by truly merging themselves into one being, which they succeed to do, and it is super gross.
It's very much like The Thing.
Oh, it's very much like The Thing, but it's just faces and arms and legs all over the place.
I love the actual art of Moon Knight, though, how he's so black and white in every single frame.
Oh, yeah. He's a force of nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy to follow wherever he is, what he's doing. And a nice cliffhanger on the end of that one, which is...
He's becoming a part of the blob.
Being pulled into the collective.
Right, and then we get a quick glimpse of what it looks like inside the collective mind.
Oh my god.
It's like a Mr. Mix-a-Split-Lick, crazy, over-the-top, theme park, weird horror dolly painting.
This is just horror.
It is. It's bright-colored pop horror.
Yes.
True communism. Or socialism, sorry.
Also,
They're the same thing.
Yeah, another issue that just gets the creepy factor. Perfect.
All right.
So moving on, I've continued to purchase Weapon H.
Yes. And honestly, overall, this issue wasn't that bad.
It's becoming pretty decent action comic.
There's just certain things. Yeah, it was a good action comic, but there's just certain things that stand out to me at times. Like when they're like, "Are you Wolverine?" He's like, "I'm better." It gets me.
Well, I wonder if that is a purposeful callback to Wolverine's catchphrase, which is, "I'm the best there is at what I do."
I know,
But merge it with Hulk of, what are you doing? What have you been up to, Hulk? Winner.
Right. I do like the quick bit where it shows him just using the Wolverine claws, but not doing the Hulk out.
I did not realize he was capable of that.
Right, exactly.
So it literally just does seem like he is a better Hulk Wolverine.
Right, because he's Wolverine and the Hulk, but while he's hulked out, he has full military tactics, and it seems like he has every martial art, including some really weird ones. Like he knows Sicarian martial arts.
Yeah, they kind of left they made that cliffhanger on where he learned his martial arts, and I'm just like, well, I really want to know, and that does not seem like a normal cliffhanger.
Well, the real cliffhanger is the fact that next he's going to be fighting Man-Thing, which is dope.
Yeah, that is true.
Man-Thing.
Yeah.
Face your fear. Man-Thing.
Honestly,
Man-Thing is his name? He's like
yeah.
a man version of like a Swamp Thing?
This is Marvel's version of Swamp Thing, yes. But imagine if Swamp Thing also had Ghost Rider's penance stare, where he can make you burn based on the amount of guilt you feel.
Yikes.
And because that's his main dealie.
He's very Cthulhu-esque.
Yes, the facial design is fantastic. But yes, he's very much like... And I believe that Man-Thing is typically more mindless than Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is usually a guy, unless he's specifically going mindless.
Right. He's
but
gentle a lot of the time.
Man-Thing is more Hulk-ish, where he's like very basic, and he can you can befriend Man-Thing, but like he can't talk to you or nothing.
Okay.
Overall, this was a good comic. I'm just still not engaged in the character.
We really need to see where the character's going to go, and Dario Agger is a really boring villain, especially so far.
Yeah, that's true.
And, he can turn into a Minotaur, so I'm sure that by the end of this series we will see Weapon H facing off against Minotaur Dario. Nice. But this comic also does continue the proud tradition of having a cover that has nothing to do with what happens in the plot.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Well, he's turning into a brood on the cover, but that doesn't even come close to happening in the issue.
Doesn't make any sense.
Will, you read New Challengers?
I read New Challengers.
New Challengers by Andy Kubert, son of the previously mentioned Kubert from the Stan Sakai Award.
Yeah.
And this is a redo or a reimagining of an old Jack Kirby series, The Challengers of the Unknown.
And this is pretty much all just story prep for another issue to come.
Yes, this is very much here's the stuff you need to know. And I give them credit for the amount that they have to introduce and the number of characters they have to introduce. The fact that they get the entire mission statement pretty clear by the end of this issue. We don't know really what they're going to be fighting. But we get the idea. What the challengers are is that sometimes randomly when you die, you will be sucked over to Challengers Mountain to become one of the challengers instead of going on to die. Huh. And you can't leave Challengers Mountain without your teammates or you'll dissolve into nothingness. So you're locked in as a challenger until you die. And you then are a challenger until you do a good enough job that you're good enough to be immortalized in the Hall of Dead Challengers.
Yeah, the one shot of the guy that was melting.
Yeah.
I felt like it was animated a little oddly.
It does look a little odd. But yeah, we see the one guy tries to escape because he's not down with this shit. And I love it because the great thing they do is that they put that guy on the cover. He's going to be part of the team going forward. But then, he dies right away as an example of what's going to happen to these people. And they immediately bring in a new girl. It's now you're the fourth member of the Challenger.
And I love how he is immediately just one of the ex-challengers. He was there for half a second and now he's just a spirit.
I like the way he's melting. I think it looks like his skin is melting off his bones.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, so this one I think we will be picking up the next few issues of just to see where it goes. There's some sort of weird squid monsters attacking that the Justice League aren't going to be able to fight themselves.
Yeah, and then they have the edge of the world or whatever at the end, which is cool.
They head to the edge of the world, which is like a big frozen waterfall, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So yeah, typically it was sort of like an action science comic, like it was a Johnny Quest type deal. That's not like they have powers, but they're out doing action adventure stuff with cool technology.
Super science.
Super science.
This is clearly a flat Earth comic.
Very much so. All right. Next, real quick, I want to talk about issue 5 of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is the first new issue of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the last 6 years. You'll recall the issues 1 through 4 Beast that I brought recently and read through. We're going to get 2 more issues, and that's it. This is a cool issue of comics because it has 3 battles taking place in 3 different time zones, and all 3 are consistently depicted on the page as the top, middle, and bottom thirds of the page. So you can read the comic top down or horizontally in any order. And it's pretty cool, the battle that's happening in the past, present, and future, basically, as the members of S.H.I.E.L.D. throughout time are attempting to fight off the evil machine that's trying to end reality in all 3 time zones.
This does look really cool.
It is. Dustin Weaver's art is awesome. I believe that he is one of the major reasons why they couldn't keep the schedule up. I guess this is Michelangelo.
This looks impossible to create.
Right, that's how good it is.
In S.H.I.E.L.D., Michelangelo is the infinite man, and he can exist. He's very Dr. Manhattan-y because he can exist as many times as he wants in as many time frames as he wants. So at the end, he shows up and does everything. I really need to go back and read the first volume again because the primary reason I didn't love this issue is because I'm so disconnected from these characters from the long break that it's tough to really follow a lot of what's happening. But as the 3 battles slowly coalesce into similar situations, we get this great last page of the 3 time frames of our main character melding into the giant machine to do the last step, whatever it is, and it's a cool illustration, obviously referencing Leonardo's Vitruvian Man, which is cool because Leonardo's a character in this.
That's cool. This is very old school, not impressionist feel to it, even in the art.
Yeah, so and it's Hickman, and he's a real genius when it comes to this stuff. So I have a feeling that once the last issue comes out, I'm going to go back and read the whole thing in one sit down, and I think it's going to come together a lot more coherently than this version of it does.
When you end up with a comic,
it's Anthony Stark and Nathaniel Richards, the fathers of Reed Richards and Tony Stark.
Nice.
When you end up with a comic like this, like is this the writer just with an insane amount of detail, or is the artist really just going for the extra mile?
Jonathan Hickman might be the most detail-oriented writer in comics.
Okay.
He plans everything out on giant boards and draws all kinds of lines, I'm sure it's a combination of his detail-oriented writing and Dustin Weaver's highly detailed art.
Okay.
So good stuff. But I want to reserve my final judgment because it is a little incoherent. Which maybe that works for something where we're doing multiple time frames and we've got a guy existing on multiple planes of reality. Maybe he's going for that sort of unsure feeling with everything.
It's got to be different if it's going to get S.H.I.E.L.D. selling.
Now, onto some more classical style storytelling. Issue 4 of The Terrifics, which continues to be fantastic.
That's really good. I think there's only one downside to this entire issue, and it's that Plastic Man doesn't look as good in black and white.
It's kind of true, yeah. And there's even an ad for the upcoming Plastic Man solo series with him in his original costume to give you a nice reminder that he does look better in red.
He looks better in red.
I do like this bit where he's chilling just by making a full working-looking spacesuit as himself, and then when the ship gets rocked, he warps out of it. I want to mention that all of the interior art on this issue is by Doc Shaner, who very seldomly does interiors. He's kind of exclusively a covers guy for the last few years. And he's best known for doing some good Tom Strong, who you recall showed up on the last page of the first issue of this, and Captain Marvel stuff. His Captain Marvel is par excellence. But it's sort of a nice little Star Wars-y plot here as they're on their way to Phantom Girl's home planet, and they get picked up by a junk crawler.
Yeah, basically it's the Star Wars sand crawler mixed with the Death Star trash room. With the compactor and even with giant squid monster.
Giant squid monsters in the compactor room, so true. And then it throws in a little of the alien mercs showing up and yelling from Force Awakens with Han Solo on the garbage scow.
Yeah. This one was good. It gave us a lot more of a feel for who Mr. Terrific is.
Yeah.
This one, which is nice.
A lot of good characterization with Mr. Terrific, with Phantom Girl, and him with Rex, a Metamorpho.
Yeah, and the whole team is starting to get along. It looks like it won't be all bickering.
Right. Yeah, I do think that Rex is going to continue to be annoyed by Plastic Man.
Oh, yeah.
But if this is truly our Fantastic Four equivalent, then it makes sense that the Thing would be getting annoyed at the Human Torch.
Right, but at the same time, like, they do the rock, scissors, paper, where both of them turn their hands into scissors, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
I could see more of a rivalry emerging.
Yeah, it could be funny. And it's funny because this was the second comic I read this week that had pretty cool rock, paper, scissors things happening.
Oh, really?
Because in the bit of... I read all of the 4th volume of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the Diamond is Unbreakable saga, and I'm not going to talk a bunch about it, but there is one stand user whose whole ability is that... he plays rock, paper, scissors with you, and every time he wins, he steals a third of your soul. So he has to win 3 out of 5. It is the most intense battle of rock, paper, scissors you can possibly imagine. It is over the top.
Well, when your soul's on the line, I mean, it means more than your life. When they need the stakes to be truly higher than life and death.
Right.
Bring in the soul.
Bring the soul.
They just call him RPS Kid.
Good name.
All right, so last thing to talk about is the 3rd issue of Justice League No Justice by Scott Snyder, with art by Riley Rossmo this time, switching over from Stuart Immonen, I think, was doing the first 2 issues. I really like Riley Rossmo's style. I was surprised to see him on this book because I assumed it was going to be the other artist throughout.
I like the way he does the characters. But backgrounds, I felt there was a little bit to be desired in knowing where everybody was.
He does leave the backgrounds out a little bit.
I like that.
Yeah.
This is art that appeals to me.
I do like the way that the teams are coming together.
Oh, yeah.
The various things they do to activate the trees that they are able to activate is cool. I love Cyborg 1 Million and his whole mother box thing.
Yeah,
which I guess is
awesome.
It's just making Cyborg his DC movie version when they integrate him with the mother box. So
yeah, that is what it does.
Yeah, so that was a cool and subtle way of them to do that, just have it be a thing that happened during Metal.
Yeah.
What else do you guys like?
I mean, I liked Starro.
Starro, man, he heroically sacrifices himself.
And he's being such a badass right up until the end.
I mean, he didn't stop talking the way a villain talks at any point.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great. Like, he's like, I'm a bigger god than these giant monstrous gods that nobody else can handle.
And it's funny, because this is also the second time that I read something that was weirdly Starfish related. Because also in Volume 4 of JoJo, we learn that Jotaro Kujo, the main character of Volume 3 of JoJo, this character, got famous and semi-wealthy because he wrote a famous paper, marine biology paper on starfish.
Whoa. That's odd.
He does not seem like the type.
Right, the world-famous marine biologist. But anyway, Starro almost manages to have an effect on the Omega Titan. Almost.
Right. Almost. And that's pretty good.
But they fail.
Kind of turned out that Brainiac 2.0 is useless.
Brainiac 2.0 is useless.
He's just kind of a whiny jerk.
Yeah.
He just represents entropy, and so he's the end of things, and so he's totally useless. He can't help them with Brainiac's original plan at all. And it seems the Brainiac, being a huge douche, designed his plan so that if you were to die, there's no way anybody could win without him, specifically.
Yeah, it's rather odd.
And he was right about Kolu, because our heroes do fail to save Kolu.
Yeah, it's gone.
And the page of the Omega Titan's armor expanding to eat the planet is not what I expected when I turned the page.
That's pretty cool, though.
And they're all running, and the trees are just instantly grow on Earth.
Instantly grow on Earth. And yes, that takes us to the other part of this whole saga, which is how this is weirdly turning into a Green Arrow comic.
That's true. And can't say that's my favorite part.
No.
It's interesting. I really do wonder where they're going to go. But yeah, Amanda Waller and Green Arrow are not two of my favorite characters. So having a bunch of scenes of the two of them together is
Just
not my cup of tea.
arguing constantly with each other.
Yeah, but luckily I do prefer Ollie to Amanda, and he does get the upper hand.
Yeah.
And I appreciate
Or
him
no
shooting the arrow into the gun, like...
Because he's not going to let her kill all the heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's only one more issue to go. They're going to figure this out.
There's only one more issue. Wow.
This is a 4-issue limited series.
They're going to lose, and it's going to be another series.
Well, it does lead... This, we have been told, leads directly into everything that they're planning in the new Justice League relaunch that Snyder is writing.
The Earth is going to get eaten.
It's right there in the title. There's not going to be any justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Only 1 week to go.
Wow. Well, look forward to it.
Me too.
Definitely. I think that's all we have for today. We are the League of Above Average Gamers, and signing out. Will, would you tell them where they can listen to us?
Where they can listen to us? Sure. They can listen to us at lagentertainment.libsyn.com. That's Lag Entertainment with 2 A's. They can also, if they're interested, go to YouTube and search up the LAAGCast or Lag Entertainment. You'll find us no problem. You can find us on a bunch of different podcasting services that aren't iTunes right now. And you should follow us on Twitter at _lag. We'd appreciate it. And if you have any comments on the episode, any questions you'd like to ask us, any recommendations you'd like to give us, you can send us an email at lagentertainment@gmail.com. I do check those, I promise, every week. Thanks for listening, and stop by next week.
Take care, folks.
Signing out. 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 Signing out.